Hello and welcome to our Week 3 installment of the Panagraph Prep Preview, our video segment we're doing this year. I'm Assistant Sports Editor Joe Deacon, and joining me this week is Jim Benson, our veteran sports writer. He's got to fill the shoes for sports editor Randy Kindred. Jim, you think you're up to the task?
Well, I'm glad it's not a writing contest, Joe, because if it was writing, I'd be smoked there. But I can handle this just as good as Randy, I think.
Well, I'm sure you can too, so we'll give it a go this week. And last week now in the football, what a crazy night Friday was with all the weather we had. Got a lot of games posted over to Saturday. And the biggest issue turned out to be for both the normal teams having to go down to Belleville twice in 2 days. Normal West came out with a big touchdown return to win. Normal Community now, though, is 0-2, and they're going to face each other with the Ironmen needing a victory.
Yeah, it's hopefully this Friday will be better weather. The first 2 weeks of the season have been kind of really poor and all that. And it's kind of weird that the two Unit 5 teams are playing the Chili Bowl so early in the season. They've usually played kind of midway in the season, and Normal Community definitely, you don't want to say a must-win in Week 3, but they really, really need a win very badly.
And West, of course, is ranked, doing really well so far. A big pull-out that win against a tough opponent. Wildcats are going to be tough for Normal.
Wildcats are. I covered Normal Community the first week when they played Belleville West, and Normal Community had a chance to win that game, made a couple of errors. Hopefully they'll clean it up a little bit and move on, and I expect this to be a really close game.
Yep, Normal trying to avoid now. They're 0-2 for the first time in 10 years, so they've really got to get something going here if they want a playoff push. Bloomington, they're also 0-2. Right. They lost to Nazareth, a tough game, and then a tough loss to Pekin. Now they've got to get their sights there. They're hosting their home game against LaSalle Peru. And Central Catholic is also 0-2. We've got some inner city teams that really need a victory.
Yeah, and luckily for both of them, I think they're running into good opponents. Bloomington's playing LaSalle Peru, which Bloomington Normal teams really have not played LaSalle Peru in football, so that's kind of a new thing. LaSalle Peru hasn't scored a point this year. They've lost to two good opponents in Lincoln Way North and can't remember who the other one was, Washington, I think. So they've lost to two pretty good opponents, too. Good game for Bloomington. It's their home opener. And Central Catholic's played two really tough teams out of the go, and they've played very well. So yeah, I expect the Saints to kind of get on the track right here.
Yeah, actually, I was at their game against U-High on Saturday after that got pushed again. And for about 2.5 quarters, they actually controlled most of the game. They were just in such a deep hole that they couldn't get out of it. Their defense held the Pioneers down for most of the second half, and they got some big plays, and they've got a chance to finally get things going, I think.
Yeah, I think they'll be okay.
So U-High, they're ranked number 7 in Class 5A. They're looking to go 3-0 with the Corn Belt start. They're going to be home against the conference newcomer IVC. And then another team to watch in the Corn Belt now is, how about the Olympia Spartans? 2-0 for the first time in, 12 years, I think?
Unbelievable, yeah. Olympia, it's good to see them turning around. I think they won 3 games last year, so they kind of got it going in a little bit of the right direction here. And this is going to be a really good test for them. Muhammad really stumbled bad in the first week against Mount Zion. I don't think that was the real Muhammad team that showed up. Joe Kenny got him kind of back on track. They have a really good passing attack. Colin Miller for Olympia that did a nice job last week at Prairie Central. So this could be an entertaining game, but I think it's really going to show Olympia, if they're a contender or a pretender right off the bat.
Yeah, you mentioned Muhammad. They had a tough that first game, but they did bounce back nicely, get a win over Eureka last week. So they've got a little bit of momentum on their side. Let's move over to the heart of Illinois. A couple games to watch this week. Fisher's going to visit Fieldcrest, and TriValley is going to face Flanagan Cornell Woodland. That game's going to be at Woodland High School.
Yeah, Fieldcrest is. I think Fieldcrest is the class of the league. Drew Barth is an outstanding quarterback. Threw for 329 yards last week. Yeah. They got Grant Jokums at running back, ran for 138. They're the real deal. Fisher is more of a traditional kind of pounded out team. Have 2 really good running backs in Conrad Thomas and Aaron Carter.
Right.
So it's a tough game for Fisher. I think Fieldcrest is kind of the class there, and I think Fieldcrest probably pull that one out. The other game, TriValley, defending champion in the league, lost the first week to Fieldcrest, but they bounced back last week. Flanagan Cornell has won twice, so that's going to be an interesting game to see if Flanagan Cornell Woodland is kind of in the upper echelon of the league.
Yeah, they got a good performance out of Austin Dutko last week in their game with 186 yards, a couple touchdowns, another 100-yard rusher in Ruben De Leon. It's gonna be a good test for them.
Yeah, and Peyton Roop continues to have be the leader for TriValley. throwing this year, not just running, but throwing and running. So that'll be a tight game.
Yep, and getting back to that first game you mentioned, Fisher, they also got a couple of big 100-yard rushers, like you said, in Thomas and Carter, but they were kind of undone by turnovers last week.
Yeah, they and Leroy's a good team though. Leroy's I think they're back this year, and that was a tough loss for Fisher, and another tough one for them this week for sure.
Yep. One other game to mention from last week we want to point to is your alma mater, Jim. The Dwight Trojans kind of got off the schneid after snapping a 21-game losing streak, and they beat Hoops and Area. This week the Trojans are home against Watseka.
Yeah, I go to Dwight every year and do the preview and talk to Andy Pittenger and Eric Black's their assistant coach. He used to be their head coach, and they were telling me this year that they thought they had some talent this year. They really did, and moving from the Interstate 8, which was just a brutal league for them for a school their size, to the Sangamon Valley, they thought it was a nice move for them. That was a non-conference game last week, and now this is their first Sangamon Valley game. Mm-hmm. So they think actually they'll be able to compete for that title. We'll see. I know Watseka lost to TriValley last week 48-7, so Trojans might get 2 in a row, Joe.
Yeah, they could. I mean, you said there's some of the talent. They had a big game from Jack Davidson last week with 3 touchdowns, 2 of them on interception returns. A nice showing for the Trojans.
Yes, so we're back.
Yeah, there you go. Well, thanks again for watching. Be sure to check out Panagraph.com or pick up your Saturday Panagraph for all of Friday night's results. Thanks again.